Well, hello, you guys, and welcome to this pretty exciting episode. I'm really looking forward to today because it's totally led by you. Basically, I put in my Instagram stories and on my Facebook this week that I wanted all of your questions, your topics and ideas for discussions, areas that you wished for me to chat about today, what you wanted to hear from me. And I have had some amazing suggestions, some really, really good questions actually, and yeah, just areas to dig deep into. It's gonna be fun. So firstly, obviously, I do have to say thank you. Thank you all so much for your participation, for engaging, for all of your questions and topics of interest, because let's be honest, if it wasn't for you doing that, then we wouldn't really have a very good episode, would we? So yeah, thank you again. It's really helpful, and hopefully some of these topics, they'll also support and encourage others who may need to hear something that you have asked, which I think is just so beautiful. It means a lot to me to have you all playing a part in today's episode. And so, yeah, this is your questions, my truths. And so I won't be holding back. I will be totally honest, transparent. And if there is a question that obviously that I can't answer or anything, then of course I will say. I mean, let's be honest, I am no expert. I do not have all of the answers here, but I'd like to think that together on this episode, we will form such a supportive and healing space that will cover so many different topics and areas that could really, really help so many people. But yeah, on that note, let's dive right on in there because I am really, really excited for this. Okay, question number 1, and that just says, best treatments for healing. That is an incredible question, and I wish I could say, look, you do this one thing and it's like flicking a switch. You're healed, everything's hunky-dory, you're like your complete higher self, no looking back, life is just perfect here on out. Unfortunately, of course, it doesn't work like that, does it? But I do have some suggestions for when it comes to healing. And I mean, it depends obviously on what you are healing and if there is something specific that you are going through. And also it depends very much as to what works best for you and the stage that you are at on your healing journey. For example, I tried breathwork very early on into my growth, development, healing, this whole spiritual awakening journey. I tried it early on. I tried it once, absolutely hated it, and didn't do it again. I lived in Bali for 9 months, somewhere where you can access breathwork events on the daily. Didn't go to a single one. And it's only in the last year or so, really, that I got into them on YouTube, and I have since gone to a couple of events, and the experience is just absolutely profound. But do you get what I'm saying? That for me wasn't right at that time. So yeah, I will give obviously my preferred treatments, but I say try them all. Definitely try them all more than once and see what fits best for you, because healing, I mean, we say it's not linear for a start. There's ups, downs, side steps, pause, breaks, whatever. But also, yeah, there are suggestions, but everybody's different. So my best treatment for healing, obviously talking to breathwork, it's hard. It really takes some getting into. It's a case of stepping out of your comfort zone, but the feeling of euphoria afterwards, the intensity of the experience throughout your entire body, For me, it's the only thing that I've found that you actually feel the results that you are seeking. At an event I went to recently, the guy who held it, he was saying how he's just so over this self-development. He's been on this journey for so long and he's kind of fallen out of love with the self-development. You know, you can read all the books, listen to the podcast, go to the events, do the shadow work. And it's like, I want to, and he actually said, it's about moving that needle. And through breath work, you do, and you feel it in that moment. So for me, powerful. But obviously, you know, dependent upon where you are at on this journey, it would be ridiculous for me to just say, oh, just do some breath work and you fix, because that isn't the case. It involves so much more than that. So for me personally, I think definitely self-development books or podcasts, motivational speeches, things like that. You need to be instilling that positivity, those good vibes into your brain, nourishing it. What you consume, you become. That's a matter of fact. But also, yeah, it's good to immerse yourself into that self-development and have access to that. But what are you doing for you? More on a compassionate and healing level. So whether that is going to sound baths, doing a meditation a day, doing your breath work, which again, like I say, it takes work, but again, it's more of that actually, not just the constant go of journaling, reading, podcasts, things like that. It's like a mix of everything. But I mean, you tell me, what do you prefer doing? So if I was to talk you through my day, obviously I've mentioned in the past about my morning routines, but for example, I would do either a meditation or a breath work in the morning, or I would do my gratitude and affirmations. You don't have to do all three. Pick one. How do you feel on that day? I change it all the time. It depends upon my feelings. Then it doesn't seem like such a chore, you know? Definitely whatever events nearby that you can go to, immerse yourself, be around like-minded people that are also wanting to heal and grow and develop and become the best version of themselves. You become, again, the average of the people that you are surrounding yourself with. And so, are they healing and nourishing for you? And I'm not saying to just get rid of the people that you're around if they're no good for you, then yeah. But obviously, you know, we do have friends and family that may not be quite on our level of healing and growth, and that's fine. I'm not saying to blot these people out of your life, but definitely I would encourage you to immerse yourself and surround yourself with people who are almost ahead of you, or at least on that similar journey. And if that means going to events and things, nowadays there's so many online as well that are available. The options are there. But yeah, I wish I could say it was a mixture of everything. I do like a lot of energy work as well. So that would be going to, say, Reiki sessions, sound baths. I've even recently started spinal flow, but I've not had it enough to obviously share my results with you or anything. But yeah, and definitely amongst all of that, lots and lots of journaling. You have to be able to write down your feelings to best understand yourself. It's not often until you put pen to paper that really your subconscious truly opens up and shares with you what you are feeling deep down. And from that, then you are able to fully understand yourself and your areas that you do need to further heal and work upon. So yeah, I hope that helps. A bit long-winded, that one, and there is no direct answer, I'm afraid. But yeah, I hope that it helps. I really do. Okay, question number 2 is, how do you keep so positive all the time? I absolutely love that. I mean, I love that I'm able to give that impression for a start, but I will share this with you that I'm not always like that. And I will obviously firstly say that I definitely haven't always been this way. I have been the pessimistic, glasses half empty kind of gal. And it wasn't until I went on this self-development journey, this healing and spiritual awakening, that I changed. I was far from it. But also, even though I am now the way that I am, I still do have my sad days. I experience very negative feelings of overwhelm, dissatisfaction, failure, sadness. Like I'm going backwards, like I have it all. And I'd like to think I'm very open and honest on that. I'll always be transparent with you guys. Yes, I am definitely a very positive person. I absolutely adore life. I love myself, my life. I want to share that light with other people. I want other people to feel this same way about themselves and, you know, the fact that we're so freaking lucky to be here. However, when shit goes south, I have my sad girl Netflix days. And I think actually that's important. You know, it's important. We cannot be, I mean, I've said it on episodes in the past. I've been guilty of the toxic positivity. We cannot be vibrating high, feeling all the happy vibes 24/7. It's impossible. We are human beings and we need to experience all those varying emotions. So firstly, don't feel hard on yourself and don't think that I'm happy 24/7. But yeah, I do put a lot of it down to the growth and the development and this spiritual side truly coming to light. And again, I've shared in the past that a lot of that started with journaling, gratitude, affirmations, similar to the last question about healing, about, you know, consuming those mindset related books, those podcasts, listening to those motivational speeches and inspirational people, because it does literally rewire your brain. It's science, you know. It alters your consciousness, your perspective, it lightens your energy, and also along the way it does make you much more resilient, so that when negative life experiences do happen, which they're going to, you're able to get through them much better. You have that higher threshold, that you are more resilient. It does take consistency though. It's not something that you can just flick a switch again overnight and all of a sudden you're super positive. What you'll find is, like with anything, you'll be doing it for a while and you'll wonder what is the point in any of this, and then, you know, 3-6 months later you'll get those comments from people about, wow, you know, your energy is just so light, you're just so positive, you're always happy, you know. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it in yourself as well. So yeah, definitely the morning routines or an evening routine is key to practice these sort of, you know, the gratitude, the journaling, the podcasts and things. Of course, yeah, you can do them in the day, whether you're at the gym, going for a walk. But yeah, it's all these little things. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just little steps every day. And I think you'd be well on your way, you know. But just know that, even again, I've mentioned it before, but when you get to that point of feeling so positive and happy and light, like that light energy and things, things will still happen. They'll crop up, but you'll just find out of nowhere, you're like, oh my gosh, I dealt with that so much better. I overcame that. I got over that so much quicker. And you'll wonder, like, when did that happen? But it does. It truly, truly does. So I hope that helps. Thank you for that question, though. And thank you for the comment about myself. It's a little bit of a booster right there. Okay, so question number 3. This is another really good question, actually. Thank you for this one, because I think it's a really good topic that a lot of people can relate to. And they've just put, would you get married again after being divorced? And it's interesting because my point of view has changed quite a lot on this, and up until last year, really, so maybe the last sort of like 6 to 8 months or so, I was completely adamant that I would never, ever, ever, ever get married again. Because, of course, others may relate who have been through similar experiences, but marriage has unfortunately lost all of its meaning for me after what I went through. It's just lost all of its meaning. It doesn't really mean anything at all, to be honest. So I don't actually see the point. I actually had this discussion with someone from work recently who said they've never been bothered about being married. Being married themselves. It's more just that feeling of security that they as to why that they would get married. And I actually said to them, it doesn't give you any more security whatsoever. Like, I was married and my husband just said one day, no thanks, and off he went. There's no added security other than all the shit that you have to go through when they do leave. So for me, yeah, it's lost all meaning, and yeah, it doesn't make your relationship any more special, any more secure. It literally doesn't mean anything. And that's sad, because for me, marriage has always been the goal. That's what I've always ever wanted, and marriage has meant a lot to me. Like, it's been a really big deal, and I believe in that till death do us part. I always have, but unfortunately my perception on that has now changed, and that's unfortunate. But then I think it's a positive as well, because it's just that different outlook, really, isn't it? And there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, I do, funnily enough, up until, like I say, last year, I feel more open to it now. I do. I don't know why. It's just come out of nowhere, whether that is through healing and, believing in love again now. I honestly don't know, but I do feel more open to it. But as I said before, for me, it literally means nothing in a relationship. So yes, if the person that I was with wanted it, then I'd be open to it. But it just wouldn't mean anything to me. It'd be very nice. We'd have a great wedding day. I'd be married again. Lovely. And that's special, but it doesn't signify anything deeper within our relationships. I'd be more than happy that I don't need that. And the thought of changing my name again, to be honest, I'm just like, absolutely no, because the whole rigmarole of changing your name to then have to change it back again, 2 years later for me. I mean, men won't appreciate how difficult it is to change your name and everything. It's such a legal entity, if that's the correct word, changing your surname. And I've still not changed my name back on absolutely everything. It's a joke. But yeah, so I think if I got married, I wouldn't even change my name. So I just want a party, basically, because the rest of it behind it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think when it comes to being, getting married again after divorce, everyone's journey is just so unique, isn't it? It's, your personal journey is beautiful. So, choosing to remarry, it's a very personal choice. And I think as long as it feels right, then that's beautiful, that's wonderful, that's incredible, and go for it. I hope that answers your question. Okay, question number 4 is a beautiful question, actually. And I really want to thank the person that has the confidence and, is willing to be so vulnerable and share this. But it's basically about being a virgin later in life, being a 30-year-old female virgin. They've just not had the opportunity. There's no religious reasons or anything. They've just not met the person, and it's led to that. They're wondering basically if they are a freak, and they're looking from a female perspective. And first of all, I've got to say, absolutely not a freak. Get that out of your head. That shouldn't even be in your mind. You need to just remove that from your head right now. I actually think in this modern day society, it is so rare now to find that it's actually so special. It's so special. What is wrong with that? For me, I think it's beautiful. The fact that, so I'm saying this from someone who, I'm not going to lie to you, I've had casual sex, situationships, one night stands, I've been through that period of my life. And to be honest, obviously, no regrets. I've made some terrible decisions and life choices, but no regrets, because it's made me who I am today. So that's fine, whatever. But some of the things that I've done was completely stupid, and I would not choose that for myself now in this position that I am in. For me, sex now is, it literally is a sacred exchange of energy. you are transferring energy on the most intimate, in the most intimate way. And there's a lot of research, especially as women, that we do hold the energy of our sexual partners within us. And I recently did a Reiki healing specifically to disconnecting from sexual partners in the past, because I'm like, I do not want any part of the people that I have been with within me anymore. And again, I'm saying this from a much more secure and healed place, but I have slept about in the past, and I don't think it's credible. I don't think there's some like big bravado about it, some big reward. I think people just have meaningless sex nowadays, and for what? It doesn't make you happier. It doesn't make you feel more special, more beautiful, more wanted, more desirable. For me, I mean, I'm not in this situation, so I cannot say how I would feel because I'm not there and I can't pretend to understand. However, I just personally believe it is so beautiful from a woman's perspective. I think it's incredible that the person that you meet, that you do experience that with, will be so special. It will be so incredible for you to experience that with someone who truly loves and cares for you and that you love and care for, and it just be that mutual exchange of intimacy and energy and that beautiful sacred act. Honestly, from a female's perspective, I think, hats off to you for being in that position that you are in, that the person that gets to have you, to see you, to be with you in such an intimate way will have truly, truly earned it. Absolutely not a freak. Incredibly special. And honestly, I think from a male's perspective, I think if I were to ask men of their opinion, I think they'd be like, fucking hell, where is she? I want to meet her. Who is this chick? She sounds unreal. She sounds incredible. Because, again, it's rare. And I'm not discrediting people who have slept with however many number of people. It doesn't matter. What matters is what is your journey, your life path, your decisions, and how you feel about that for you. But the whole being a freak thing, remove that from your head right now. That needs to be gone and never to come up again. And just know that in the right time, right circumstances, right person, he or she, I don't want to be I shouldn't even assume, but they'll be so worth it and it'd be amazing. So yeah, I hope that helped. Thank you so much again for that. I really, really do appreciate you being so open and vulnerable to share that. So thank you. Okay, question number 5. This person is wanting to hear about my planning towards a new year, like the planning stages for a new year and setting those dreams and goals in motion. So, yeah, I'm not big on the calendar new year because we are still in the middle of winter. This is not what nature intended for us as human beings, of living animals. We are still in winter. It's dark, it's quiet, the animals are hibernating, nature is still sleeping and not quite ready to come about. And that's why often a lot of New Year's resolutions, these big goals that we set for ourselves, that's why they often are failed, because people are trying so hard. You're actually going against what nature intended for you at this time of year. The traditional new year actually starts around March, April time with the spring equinox, and that is when nature starts to come alive. Animals, we're all the same. We're human beings. We are living beings on this earth, and we work with the seasons. But anyway, I digress. Regardless of that, I do of course still set intentions of things that I do wish to see in that new year in 2025, which of course does still start from January, but I'm very gentle about it, especially in the very beginning of the year. It's more about planting those seeds and the preparation. So for me, I've had so much quiet time, so much meditation, lots and lots of journaling. I do want to journal and write down how I'm feeling, everything that I am releasing. That's the major thing for me at the start of a new year. What am I wanting to release? What do I not want to take into a new year? And letting things go, leaving things in the past. For me, that's the most important thing as you move into a new year. But in terms of obviously setting dreams or goals, it's more planting those seeds. What would I like to see in this year? And how am I going to get there? Taking small steps, small actionable steps to get me there. So for me, myself personally this year, obviously a goal of mine is to start these community women's meetups. And so how am I going to do that? I've already kind of started that, but now it's about creating the advertisements, setting the dates. These are all small steps, And same with my career, I still don't fully know what I'm doing with that. I'm so in between while I figure out where I'm going with this business, and I still have my part-time job. I need to, again, look at areas that I am interested in pursuing. So I do have a keen interest in going into the fitness industry because it's my life anyway. It has been for 11, 12 years. So might as well make money from being in the gym. I spend enough time there, and I know my stuff, when it comes to health and fitness. So now it's about, right, okay, so if I am wanting a career potentially in the gym industry, I need to get my level 2 fitness certificate, make a start, apply for it, so it's these little steps. If this is what you want, what are the steps to getting there? So yeah, that's my community meetups, career. With my house, obviously a lot of you know that I rented out my home when I moved abroad. I'm still not back in the house, so I still live at my mum's. I have tenants living in my home, but I made that decision last year that I don't actually want to move into my home. So in the meantime, I'm like, right, well, what do you want to do then? So I have figured out that I do just need to sell the house now and make that fresh start. So it's about, okay, so a goal of mine is of course to get my own place, but what do I need to do? I need to sell the house. So I just need to look at selling my property. Where that may lead me to, I do not know yet, but it's about taking those action steps, contacting the estate agents, getting a valuation, putting it on the market, and then seeing how things go. And I do have goals for travel this year because I've not been away since I came back to England. So of course that's a goal for me. So yeah, it's about how do I achieve that? I set aside a small amount of money to know that when the time is right, I could just book something and go. Because often in my situation that I'm in right now, I'm more of a last minute book it and go kind of gal. In the past, I'd obviously book something, a year in advance and whatever. But right now, I don't really know whether I'm coming and going and things like that. I just don't feel organised enough to do that. Whether that be financially, not knowing what I'm doing with my house, career, things. But yeah, I'd like to think that if I put a little bit of money aside, when I feel that the time is right, that I've got a pocket of time, a decent amount of money, I'll just book it and go. With regards to fitness goals that I have, it's always generally been the same. I want to be able to do pull-ups properly. I can do chin-ups 6 now really well. But again, practice. So whatever your goals, your dreams are, it's about setting tangible action steps and then just that consistency of getting there and doing the things that you want to say, because I think it's really common that when we set dreams and goals, we want the end result. That is the issue. And I think that's where I've struggled in the past, is that I'm wanting the end result, and then that demotivates you because it almost seems so out of reach, so impossible. But if you have an idea, if you have a knowing of what that end result is, okay, so what do we need to do first? So if the end result is, for me, being able to do the 10 pull-ups, okay, well, first of all, it was using the assisted pull-up machine, or having people help you, or using the resistance bands. Trying 2 every time I go to the gym, whether it's back day or not. Just try 2 at the beginning of your workout. Then before you know it, you're trying 3, trying 4, and then, oh, okay, I'll try it on my own this time and just see if I can hold my weight, if I can pulse, pulling myself up, things like that. Small steps, same with the career. If you want a certain career, what training do you have to do? Who should you network it with? What books should you read? If you want to travel or save for a house, where do you want to go? Where do you want to live? How much money will you need? What do you need to set aside? Small action steps, but more than anything, like I say, this time of year is more about planting the seeds, and then we're able to fully bloom come April if we get the rest and recuperation in now. I think that personally is what's most important for me. And this same person actually asked me to share my vision board, and I'll be completely honest, I've not made a vision board for this year. I am going to. For anyone who doesn't know what vision boards are, how best to explain them? It's a board that you put your vision on. Whether you cut and stick out pictures, words, you can even do it on Canva, but it's things that you are wanting to manifest, to bring into your life, whether that be for that year or a 5-year plan, just overall life. But I haven't done a vision board. The last time I did one, I actually created one on Canva that I had on my laptop, but I'm hoping to create another one that I will actually have on my phone. Then it's on your phone wallpaper. I'm there seeing it every day. But to give you an idea of what I would put on my vision board, just because even though I've not created it, you might as well know what would be on it. It would definitely be, for me, a house sale sign. Well, it would say sold on it. It'd be an airplane or a suitcase, gym equipment, stacks of cash. It'd be a couple, a relationship. It would definitely be women, community. It would be the chakras aligned, covering all bases there. Because it's very much for me, it would be like forming a relationship, creating a community of women, continuing to work on my health, my fitness, having a stable income, feeling financially stable, being able to travel, having my house sold, a fresh start, things like that. So yeah, really, really good one, but I'm not the best person to ask, I don't think, when it comes to that, because I'm like, no, it's not the new year yet, stop pushing me. And I've not done a vision board, but yeah, I hope that gives you a good idea though, and thank you again. Okay, next up we have a question on dealing with heartbreak, especially more specifically when the other person has moved on very quickly, and how to manage, how to cope with that. And first of all, I just want to give you so much love, and yeah, I'm really giving you a virtual hug here, because it's horrible. It's heartbreak is the worst feeling ever. It affects you physically, mentally, spiritually, and it's awful, but just know that you can get through this, and wow, you'll come back out so much stronger. I'm telling you now, you may not feel that right now in this moment. You may feel that it's the end of the world, that your life is over as you know it, you'll never be happy again. And of course, when the other person has moved on very quickly, it can really have you questioning your self-worth. What's wrong with you? Why wasn't you good enough? What makes the other person any better? It can also make you very obsessed about the other person. If you do have access to maybe social media and things and you end up stalking, you can go down a real rabbit hole. And I've not had too much access to this in my past, because my ex-partner was never on social media. I did see the odd few posts from like other people, but it was quite minimal. But even from my experience, I don't know whether anyone will relate, but even when you are doing this, stalking, looking back at posts and things, it's like deep down when you are doing it, you know you're going to hurt yourself. Like, you actually know why am I doing this? This isn't going to make me feel any better. It's going to make me feel worse, but you still do it. What is that about? What is that about? Why are we so intent on hurting ourselves? That is literally like a self-harm, towards yourself. But it's like sometimes this need for the answers compels you, but often the answers make you feel worse. And it's just, I would highly advise against going down any rabbit holes, any stalking. And equally, if people are sharing information with you, you don't need to know it. Having those discussions on, please, will you just, leave it? I don't want to hear anything about this person. It's just not worth it. It's so bad for your mental health. So as I was saying, I completely get it. I've been in this situation and it is horrible. Like, my ex-partner, when he left me, said he would never get married again. What did he say? However, 50% of marriages end in divorce. He would never go through that again. It's not what he wanted at that time. When I did go through my mini stalking, when I saw one random post, I can't even remember what it was at the time, but when I looked back, I realised that he had met his then new partner 5 or 6 months after having left me. And bearing in mind, it was the middle of COVID at the time. The country was locked down. How they met, I've no idea. Whether they knew each other when we were still together, I'll never know. I don't really want to know. I don't need to know. I have absolutely zero interest anymore. I couldn't care less. But at the time, as you can imagine, I was completely heartbroken. It really messed with my head that. I think the post that I'd seen at the time was that he was having a baby, basically, with this new woman. And I think I'd seen this random post through something else or whatever, and then it was down the rabbit hole. And obviously that's when I'd seen that they'd had this one picture back in June of 2020 when he left me in the January. And like I say, it was during COVID. But regardless, it really messed with my head. And obviously since, like I say, had a baby, I had a child, since remarried, and all of that was so quick, considering, this same person was someone who could never see his life without me, wanted to be with me forever. I didn't beg him to get married. I'm not one of those women. He wanted that. He wanted to get married. He wanted to buy a house with me. He wanted to start a family. And then all of a sudden he's doing all of that with someone else. And wow, it's horrible. It's horrible. But yeah, enough about myself and my experiences, just to sort of reiterate that I do understand. But yeah, dealing with heartbreak, it really involves that acknowledgement of your feelings, whether it's good or bad. You cannot push them down. You have to feel them. As I've said this before, these feelings do crop up. It's no good, it's fine, I'll just get on with it, it doesn't matter, be strong and all that. No, feel the feelings, embrace them all. And with that, you really need to lean on other people for support. Definitely sort of those that are closest to you, having those conversations with them, whether that be a distraction, doing things that light you up, being surrounded by the people who really truly care about you and want what is best for you. That is a must. Be around the people that really care about you. But equally, it is important to spend a lot of time on your own as well, to really fully, because I guess another part of it is about relearning who you are again, who you are outside of this relationship, away from that person, because often we can kind of lose ourselves when we get into relationship. We do a lot of things with that person. We may start new hobbies with them, and it's all beautiful things, but then we can kind of lose who we are. Now, in a divine, healthy relationship, that should not happen, but I can honestly say I kind of lost myself. And I'm not saying that was because it was unhealthy, but for me as a person, my whole life revolved around the fact that I was a wife, I had a husband, I was in a relationship. That was my identity. It becomes your identity, doesn't it? And that is a problem in itself. But yeah, relearning who you are again outside of this relationship. So enjoy your hobbies, your passions, doing the things that really truly light you up. So for example, for myself, I threw myself into the gym. I was already big on the gym then anyway, but I threw myself into it. I did not miss a session. Regardless of how I was feeling, I was crying in the gym, talking to people about my experiences, going through hell, but I went. And of course, not long after that was with COVID and the lockdowns, but I still continued to do my home workouts every single day. I had to do that. I had to get out on my walks, get those steps in. Movement is actually vital anyway, whether that's a passion or a hobby of yours, but I highly encourage any sort of movement because, again, that flow of emotions and feelings, they're all energy, and sometimes that is the way of releasing that. But yeah, whatever your hobbies and passions are, do them. You may not feel like it. You might be listening to me thinking, well, I don't feel like going to a painting class. I don't feel like going playing golf. I don't feel like going to the cinema. I feel like just lying in bed and crying all day. And that's okay too. I'm not saying that that's not. However, equally, there comes to a point where we cannot stay in bed all day crying, can we? You get to that point where you want to actually feel better and do the things that will make you better. So there are definitely pros to staying in bed and wallowing, but of course there's pros to getting out there as well. And of course, with that, having that deep down faith and belief that everything will be okay. Even though it really doesn't feel like it right now, and it's very, very difficult to believe this, but just knowing that it will. Whoever this person is, you was fine. You was totally fine without them in your life, and you will be again. It will not feel like this now. I am saying this because I know how you feel, and I know you're thinking, you don't get it, you don't understand our relationship, but I do. And just know that you will look back on this at one point, and it will actually be a blessing. It will be a blessing. I know that is probably not what you want to hear right now, but promise me it is true. So specifically regarding the moving on fast, it is important to know that it actually has nothing to do with you. The fact that they've moved on fast, it is nothing to do with you. You need to remove yourself from the equation in this situation because, as I said, it's very easy to question, what's wrong with me? How could I have been better? What's so good about this new person? But actually, when someone moves on quick, it is more to do with that person themselves. So their own insecurities, their own struggles, maybe whether to be alone or they're seeking that comfort and validation. It's actually about them. It has nothing at all to do with you. So if you remove yourself from that situation, you kind of think, I feel sorry for this person. They cannot be alone. They, potentially, needing to be with someone else. Have got their own insecurities and things like that. And the true healing and moving on is actually has nothing to do with moving on to another person. It's moving on within you. That is true, real healing and moving on. It has nothing to do with moving on to another person. But yeah, the person that you're with, if they have moved on, that is their own journey. And they definitely have their own healing to do. So just know that you are not the problem here. Someone moving on fast, it says more about them than you. It truly, truly does. And to be perfectly honest, you are just so much better off without them. If they've been able to move on in that way, they've got a lot of work to do. You are so much better off without them. I really hope that gave you some sort of comfort in whatever way, shape or form. Some of it, like I say, is very difficult to hear when you're in that moment, but maybe listen to this again in a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, and you will totally understand. I promise you that. Okay, question number... I've actually forgot where we're up to. I think it's question number 7. I've honestly lost track. I think we're up to question number 7. But yeah, this one, it says, I really want to be able to do more things on my own and embrace the solo life like you, but I just feel so silly. I feel shy. I have absolutely no confidence. Okay. Firstly, Please know, I also feel uncomfortable when I go out on my own. In fact, 9 times out of 10, when I first get to where I am, when I'm sat there on my own in my head and I'm looking around, and I think it depends on the situation as well. But yeah, just know that I also do feel that shyness. I'm extremely confident. I'll speak to anyone. I am very comfortable in my own company, but I still experience that sometimes, that shyness, that feeling a little bit like silly. Are people looking at me? Things like that. So know that it's normal, and even the most confident people in the world still experience these feelings as well. But actually, when you get past that initial awkwardness, you'll honestly love it. You truly will. The trick is here with this is to just do it. To just do it. I have no other answer here than to just get out there and do it and step out of your comfort zone and see how you feel when you get back. Because often, yeah, like I said, you'll feel really awkward and silly at first, but when you get past that and you have a really nice time and you really embrace your own company and you treat yourself like a queen and you do all these beautiful things that really light you up and just be within your own energy, it's magical. It's honestly magical, but you have to get past that initial awkwardness. So maybe the first 5-10 minutes, you're thinking, oh my God, this sucks. Everyone's looking at me. I'm like, what do I do? What do I look at? Sometimes you'll end up where you're just sort of scrolling on your phone. That is the worst thing. I'm saying this because I've done it as well, but it's actually the worst thing you can do because you're just not actually being within your own energy. You're like compensating in a way to make yourself feel comfortable, and sometimes it's a case of put the phone down. But there are things that can help in this situation just to get over that initial awkwardness, because honestly after that you'll love it, trust me. So a few little tricks. Start small. This doesn't have to be going on a night out by yourself and everyone that you're surrounded with are in these big groups and they're all looking at you. It doesn't have to be that way. So start small. So maybe go to a coffee shop on your own. Like sitting in a cafe is probably one of the most simple things that you can do on your own, and actually there's loads of people who do that on their own as well, so you'll not feel alone in that sense. So yeah, a coffee shop or even just lunch out, something in the day definitely is my biggest tip to get you into that. And also I would suggest maybe like taking a book or a journal with you, because again, in those little moments where you feel a little bit awkward, you can whip your book out or you can start writing in your journal, and it just helps you get past that. But equally, I think regardless of that, it's still good to have these little things, because often when you are in your own company is the time that you can really open up and write pages and pages in your journal, and this is when you truly learn about yourself and embrace yourself and your energy and everything. And equally, with the book, getting lost in a book, just sat in a nice coffee shop. Oh, it's beautiful. I've also even taken nail varnish with me and just sat there in a bar once with my lunch and my book, and I'm painting my nails, in the middle of the restaurant. I think it's great. But if you do go to a bar, choose to sit at the actual bar. So go where they've got stools at the bar and you can have chats with the staff. They're some of my best solo dates, actually, where I'm sat at the bar just chatting away with the staff. Obviously, other people come up ordering drinks or whatever, you get chatting with them. It's amazing. The thing is, when you go out on your own, you become much more approachable and you're also much more open yourself to engaging with conversation. So some of my solo dates, I've socialised so much with complete strangers, never spoken to them again, but I've had really good conversations with people because I've actually just gone out on my own and I'm open to that. If there's a few of you in a little group and you sat there in a booth, you don't really speak to anybody because you're just within that circle. When you're out on your own, in your own energy, you're emitting that to other people. People can feel you and they may want to chat to you. That might not actually be what you want, and that's fine as well. But I personally quite like it when I'm out and I get chatting to people. I love that. I talk to anyone. Everyone becomes my best friend. I don't care. But yeah, it depends. But I think, yeah, that's my biggest that's my biggest advice, really, is to just get out there and do it, regardless of how uncomfortable or how shy you may feel. Go out and do it. And like I said, take the book, take the journal, take your nail varnish, get past that awkwardness, and before you know it, you'll love it. Other things that you can do on your own that may be a little bit easier is like going to an event where, yes, you're turning up on your own, but you're part of something. So you may be sat down and listening to a speech or part of a women's circle or things like that. So you don't necessarily feel as much alone. And I think, again, that's a good way to start up if you are lacking that confidence. But yeah, I wish you so much luck with that, and I really hope that you do it and you love it, and I'd love to hear all about your little solo adventures. Please give me updates. Okay, next up we have question number 8, and this is someone who is feeling really lost and they're wanting to know how to get out of this funk. And yeah, it is a funk, isn't it? It's horrible feeling lost. And I highly recommend, firstly, my podcast episode titled When One Door Closes But the Next One Hasn't Opened Yet, Embracing Life's In-Between Moments. That is very much an episode where I discussed about me feeling lost, stuck, having no sense of direction or goals, and just really uncertain about the future and what I actually wanted for myself. I'd lost all of the feelings of what I felt that I wanted that had gone, but I hadn't fully stepped into that what is next then, so I highly encourage that episode, and that will go into more detail. However, again, just to give you a bit of advice around this topic, feel the feelings. Again, this is like my mission statement for the year, as to not be afraid to feel the feelings. Even if they are negative, it's important. When we are lost, when we are stuck, our soul, our spirit, it's trying to tell us something. It's trying to tell us that we're not happy, that we need a change, but we don't necessarily have the answers right there and then. So just feel those feelings, let the answers come to you. Don't fight it. Don't push anything, feel the feelings. And again, very much having that belief, that faith that the answers will come to you. You will figure this out. This will get better. You will form a plan. Things will fall into place. And that's difficult, isn't it? To have that belief and faith when you're in it and you feel just so stuck, but it's so important. And to help you with this, rather than me just say, have faith, lots of meditation, lots and lots and lots of meditation, very much around acceptance of self, or self-belief, self-worth, love for self. But yeah, just around that sort of theme. Journaling, because again, when we journal, that's when our subconscious opens up. So sometimes you'll sit there and you're like, I don't even know what to say. And then you'll put a few words down on paper, and before you know it, you've got 2 or 3 sheets of A4 where your subconscious has spoken for you. It just comes out. And it's funny, the amount of times that I have done this, and sometimes it's been when I've been really in a bad place, and it's like one side is completely negative of everything that I'm feeling, all the ways that things are going wrong, everything that sucks. And then by the end, it just turns it around to positive, whether that be that I know that this is going to be okay, I have faith, I know that this is my divine path, this will all make sense. It just naturally flips it around. I don't know how. I don't purposely try and do that, by the way. It just happens. And that's my experience. I don't know whether that's the same for everybody, but I just personally feel that that's what happens every time I journal when I'm in a bad place. I'm able to turn it around so naturally. But yeah, meditation, journaling, nature, getting out in nature as much as possible, sitting by the water, sitting on the grass, by trees, that grounding, take off your shoes, walk on the grass barefoot, on the beach, in the water, lots and lots of grounding, because right now your head is just all over the place. It's flitting between so many different options. So when we can really try and calm the mind, find that peace within our physical state and also our spiritual state, again, that is when the answers will come to us. And just have that faith and belief, and they will. But also it's important to note when it comes to like feeling stuck and being in a funk that it is a part of life. Know that it is a part of life. You could be living the most successful, vibrant, abundant, like this incredible life. You are still going to have phases along that journey where you feel a little bit lost or you're in a funk, and that is a part of being a human. And we have to embrace these different phases, these different chapters of our life. It's not going to be all go, go, go. Sometimes we have to be still, have that quiet time where maybe nothing's going right or not much is happening, to really shift our perspective on what we actually want and what will be our next step. So yeah, I don't know whether you'll like the answer to that one or not, but it's very much acceptance, sitting with those feelings and having that faith that you will get through this, because you will, I promise you. Okay, we've got another question here on breakups actually, and specifically this person is struggling because they feel like they're blaming themselves in this situation, you know, questioning everything about themselves and their part in that relationship and the breakdown. And again, I really want to give you a big, big hug, because it's awful when we question ourselves, especially if you are in this spiritual, growth-minded place where we're trying to be that best version of ourselves and show up in this, you know, in our higher states. It's difficult when we start questioning ourselves and our worth and our part to play, but breakups are really hard on the soul, and even more so if it was not mutual or, you know, on bad terms. So of course I do not know your full story here. I do not know whether it is your fault, you know, so I cannot comment on the specifics here, but it is important to not blame yourself. Absolutely not. It is very important to consider ourselves and our part to play in a relationship, regardless of what that relationship is, whether it's intimate, friendship, colleagues, family, whatever, because, you know, it's not until we reflect and learn and grow that's part of it, isn't it? So I do believe that it is important to reflect and consider our part to play. However, this needs to be done when you're in a healed mindset, not right in the beginning when you are blaming yourself and things like that. Right now, it is so much more important to be kind to yourself, to love yourself that little bit more. At this moment in time, you almost need to mother yourself, comfort yourself, do what you can to get through this period. It is no good blaming yourself. Know that this will get better in time. Having the faith, having that belief, but really truly loving yourself. Right now, you need that more than ever. Okay, make yourself your number one priority. Give yourself the love that you deserve. This is the time that you need it more than ever, I'm telling you, okay? And then when you have healed, naturally you are able to reflect and learn and grow. And yeah, none of us are perfect. We have flaws, imperfections. There are areas that we still need to grow on ourselves, and we do have a part to play in a lot of our relationships and the things that are good and bad. But that will come in time naturally, and that is the things that you will then reflect on and learn, hopefully, for next time. But right now, do not focus on that. That is not what you need to be focusing on at all. Do not ever blame yourself. Right now, you are craving love. Give yourself the love that you wish someone was giving you, you know? You need to give that to yourself. Again, I'm sending so much love and hugs because this is sometimes quite difficult to listen to, you know, and it may not be the advice that you want to hear, but it is the advice I believe that you do need to hear. So I really hope that that helps. Righty, question number 10. Your thoughts on dating apps. I'm going speed dating next week. I just cannot do the apps. Girl, I hear you. I hear you. I think the dating apps suck. If anyone has seen the reel that I did, it was a good few months ago, but I was very open about that. I tried dating apps and it messed with my head so much. I thought I was just going on there because I was open and interested and wanting to put myself out there. And then within a matter of a fortnight, I was obsessed. I felt like I was never going to meet anyone, that I was going to be alone for the rest of my life. I was going to be miserable, die alone. There was no nice men out there. Being single sucks. All of this, like my whole perspective just shifted massively within a fortnight. And it made me obsessed, constantly swipe, because it almost puts you in that lack mindset being on a dating app, because you've literally got hundreds of men on an app. And if you can't find someone on there to connect with, to match with firstly, but then to connect with, have engaging conversation, it's very draining having the same small talk, not really feeling a spark, or potentially you arrange to meet up and then they back out or they ghost you or whatever. I know dating apps were originally created to improve connection between people, but I think it's had the complete opposite effect. I honestly do. And I know people have met and gone on to have very beautiful relationships from online dating. So I believe that it is possible. But I think the general consensus is that it's a fucking waste of time. And that's my personal opinion as well. I hate dating apps and I'll never go on them ever again. I've tried it. I'm glad that I tried it. But it's not for me. And I can only assume that you've had maybe similar experiences, So they are my thoughts on dating apps. I'm curious to hear of yours in more detail. But yeah, I think what you're doing is amazing, speed dating. And also, I'd love to know how speed dating goes, because I'd actually be interested in trying something like that myself. But yeah, if you don't feel that you can use the apps, get out there. Whether it is on those solo dates or trying speed dating or going to networking and events with a mix of women and men and women, because that is where you're able to find real, genuine connection. Feel someone's energy, the way that they hold themselves, the way that they make you feel when you're around them, things like that. When you're talking to someone on an app, it's very difficult to get that, which is why they can often be quite, what's the word? I think, is it like vain? When you're just, because obviously you're looking at pictures, and it's not until you found a picture that you would then look at maybe their biography and things like that. And actually when you're out and about, that's not how it is. You're attracted to someone for so many different reasons. And that is the beauty of real, genuine connection and truly learning about someone, rather than becoming pen pals before you ghost each other or whatever. So yeah, enjoy the speed dating. I really want to hear how that went, by the way. Please let me know. And last but not least, we have a lot of questions about relationships and men and being single, things like that. I'm loving them, but it's the definite theme, isn't it? That's for sure. So this one is, why do I only attract men who need healing? And for this girl who popped this question in, it's funny, I actually replied to her like, girl, same. Girl, same, I hear ya. But yeah, it is a really good question. And to be honest, again, this isn't always something that we want to hear, but it is more to do with ourselves, this one. And not only what we are attracting, but how we feel about ourselves, what we accept and tolerate, and how we enforce boundaries. Now, I will say, for anyone who is similar to myself, and I think, again, 9 times out of 10, the people that do listen to this podcast, they are in that empath or healer sort of role in society, which is beautiful. But it can be incredibly draining. And naturally, when you are an empath or a healer, you naturally attract people who potentially need healing. So regardless of whether it be men or a romantic relationship, I've had friends who have equally been quite a drain because they're always coming to you for advice, they're always in this bad place, they're always leaning on you for support. And the thing is with me, I'm always there. I always want to support someone. I'm always pushing and inspiring them and motivating them to be their best selves, to learn, to grow, because that is my passion, that is my interest. And of course, if it is for other people, I'm going to push on that, aren't I? But the issue is when there are some people who come to you who are not in that place. So there's a big difference here. It's totally fine to give support, advice, encouragement, healing energy to someone who is in the place to receive it. But equally, you could have every conversation, give all the best advice, be there for someone, but if they are not actually taking that on and doing something with it, that is when, if you're not careful, you can actually get into a form of resentment. And actually, it's just because you're so out of balance with yourself because you've given all your energy away. So yeah, be the healer, but with people who actually genuinely want to be helped. And by that, not just listening to you and them loving the fact that you're a great shoulder to cry on, someone that will always be there for them. They actually need to be doing the work themselves. And I think that's it, isn't it? It's not just that you're there for them, but that they're doing the work from you being there for them. And that's the big difference. So yeah, I think naturally empaths, healers, we do attract these people into our lives. And that is why, which brings me on to the next point, we enforce the boundaries. So we do have a part to play in these attractions into our lives. And we need to enforce boundaries to make this work for ourselves and the people that we are connected with. What are you tolerating? What are you accepting? Are you answering the message at 11 o'clock at night saying, I really need to speak to you, can we talk, when you're absolutely shattered, you need to work the next day, when actually you could be saying, I really want to be there for you, are you free tomorrow at this time and we can talk about this? Are you dropping everything to go and see your friend and be there for them when you're completely drained yourself and have nothing left to give? So it's a bit of give and take, and I don't even mean with that person, it's give and take with yourself. Are you in the best place to offer support yourself, or are you dropping your boundaries, ignoring your values, dismissing how you truly feel energetically, physically, spiritually, and putting other people first? So when you set those boundaries for yourself, which naturally sets the boundaries for other people, that will straight away, a lot of people will drop off because they will see that you're not always going to be there for them 24/7, because we cannot. We want to, but we can't. And that is again how we develop the most resentment towards ourselves and towards other people. Set the boundaries. What will you tolerate? Will you tolerate someone who is saying that you're a bad friend because you're not there for them? A bad partner? That you're not a good girlfriend because of not done this, or because you can't help them with that? What are you tolerating? What are you accepting? What are you letting into your life? We attract where we're at. So we can attract people into our lives who will walk all over us, push our boundaries. And if we continue to accept that, that is all we'll continue to attract, if that makes sense. So more recently, in the past sort of, since my last relationship especially, if I get any sort of inclining amber flag, that is where I will start to really enforce my boundaries, because I cannot let someone bleed me dry again. I want to be there for people, but it needs to be that almost like that mutual exchange as well, because the energy that you put out you do need to receive back in some way, shape or form. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, because you were there for them, they have to be there for you, but there does need to be some form of energetic exchange here, because what happens is, and I've said it before, like, these people will bleed you dry, they will drain your energy, and we cannot allow that. We can be there for people, we can support them, we can show them the way, point them in the right direction, but we are not there to heal. They have to do the work. And yeah, I think more than anything, it does put the onus on ourselves that we actually have to set those boundaries and draw the line and admit that we do have a part to play in the people that we attract into our lives. And it's not until you set those boundaries, you draw those lines, you communicate your needs and values out to the universe, that then you're able to receive that back, receive the healed version of men, the masculine men, the men that will actually give to you what you're able to give, that reciprocal energy, you know? That's certainly the belief that I have, that if I continue to let these men in, I'm never going to attract. I am setting the tone of what I want, of what I'm worth, but I know that I'm worth so much more. And so I won't let anyone in unless I know that it's right, that we are a match, and that I'm not just going to become their therapist, which has definitely been my personal experience, and I get the impression that maybe that is the case for yourself. We're not here to heal, and especially those in these sort of situations who actually do not want to do the work themselves. So that is all of your questions answered. This has been a fun episode. I've really enjoyed this. There's been a right mixed bag of questions, and I really hope that I've been able to offer some sort of information or advice, or even just reassurance and that relatability of someone else understanding where you're at and how you feel. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of today's episode, whether you can relate yourself to some of the comments and the questions that were provided. Maybe you've got advice and tips of your own. Please share them in the comments. At the end of the day, this is a community of women who are all wanting the best for each other, all wanting to grow into the highest version of themselves. So we are supportive of each other's journey in that respect. If you love this episode, this podcast, please leave a rating, a review, share with a friend. You know the score. Thank you so much, as always, for listening and for all of your DMs, your feedback. I absolutely love reading them. And it really lights me up when someone has heard even just one small thing that's really hit home with them and given them that reassurance or that spark, that idea, like guidance or direction to change, you know. So yeah, thank you again for listening. Wishing you all the very best. Have a beautiful week, and I will speak to you on the next episode.